Welcome back, Night Dwellers. I'm your host, Mothy. Tonight, in part one of Whispers of the Black Butterflies, Carina's fresh start leads her to an apartment filled with shadows, unsettling scents, and a neighbor whose smiles hold dark secrets. What lies beyond apartment 17? Step inside if you dare. Carina turned the rusty faucet handle. Its screech was like nails on a chalkboard in the otherwise silent apartment. Cloudy water gushed into the chipped ceramic cup that she had picked up at the thrift store down the street. The sharp scent of metal filled the air, and she wrinkled her nose as the cool liquid hit her lips. The taste was overwhelming, like sucking on a penny, yet she downed it in one long gulp, the metallic tang lingering on her tongue like a bad memory. She laid down on the creaky wooden floor, staring at the ceiling, her back pressed against the warped boards. The buttermilk-colored paint above her was cracked and peeling, reminding her of Ada's sundress from last summer, the one with yellow daisies and lace that fluttered in the wind as they laughed in the park. Her heart ached. She pressed her palm against her chest as if the weight might ease. The room sweltered in the summer heat, and Carina's damp hair clung to her forehead, the tips curling at the edges. The faint scent of mildew from the old apartment mixed with the sharp odor of sweat, making the air almost too thick to breathe. She brushed her bangs away, her fingers trembling as they lingered on her temples. Ada had always wanted her to grow out her hair. That was before everything went wrong, before she disappeared. Doc said I needed fresh air, she muttered, the therapist's voice bouncing around in her head, unwanted. She clenched her teeth and pushed herself off the floor. Her worn-out shoes, the soles cracked from years of walking through the city, waited by the door. She slipped them on, wincing as the rough leather rubbed against her blistered heel. The hallway outside was dimly lit, the light bulb flickering in a way that made shadows dance unnervingly on the walls. A musty odor hung in the air, a mix of old cigarettes, mold, and something else, something sour, lingering just beneath. The building itself seemed to breathe, groan as Carina stepped towards the stairwell. It felt as if it was alive, watching, waiting. She tried to shake the feeling, telling herself it was just an old building. Just as she reached the stairwell, something caught her eye. A figure by the mailboxes. A woman, her back turned, sorting through a stack of papers. The woman turned, her face illuminated by a beam of sunlight filtering through a cracked window. Her smile was too wide, teeth too perfect, something like on an old doll. "Hi, I'm Lily, number 17, the woman said, her voice sweet, almost too sweet, like honey left out too long. Something in her tone unsettled Carina, though she couldn't quite place why. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end. "I'm Carina, just moved in," she stammered, her voice small, almost swallowed by the creaking of the building around them. Lily's skin seemed to shimmer unnaturally in the dim light, and her dress, an obnoxious pink, clashed with the building's decaying walls. It was the scent, though, that hit Carina the hardest. Floral, but not in a pleasant way. The overwhelming smell of red poppies filled the narrow hallway, suffocating her senses. Her stomach turned, and she had to fight the urge to gag. "Nice to meet you. If you ever feel lonely, come visit me," Lily said. Her voice was soft, with an undercurrent that Carina didn't like. She forced a nod as Lily disappeared up the stairs, her footsteps eerily silent despite the old wooden boards. The next morning, the heat was even worse, suffocating her apartment. Carina had spent hours trying to assemble an IKEA bookshelf, her fingers sore and frustration mounting. Giving up, she stepped into the hallway, hoping to find a breeze or some relief. The air was thick and stagnant, but there was something else now. A sharp, sour smell coming from the mailboxes. She noticed a paper bag near the building's front door, soaked through with something dark. A stain spread across the floor. The odor was nauseating, like spoiled meat left to rot. Her eyes landed on the label. Miss, Apartment 17. Lily's apartment. Her stomach churned again, and a chill ran down her spine despite the heat. They should have delivered it directly to her, she thought, but the package looked abandoned. Carina hesitated, but curiosity got the best of her. She picked up the bag, careful not to touch the soaked bottom. The smell worsened as she approached apartment 17. Her breath came shallow and fast as she noticed the door was ajar. "Lily?" she called, her voice wavering. No response. She pushed the door open a little wider and stepped inside, her shoes sticking to the linoleum with a soft, wet sound. The apartment was empty, completely, eerily empty. No furniture, no personal belongings, just dust swirling in the weak sunlight that filtered through the grimy windows. A shiver crawled down her spine. Something was wrong, very wrong. Suddenly, the door behind her slammed shut with a force that shook the walls. Her heart leapt into her throat, and she rushed towards the door, pulling at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in, and she yanked harder, her sweaty palms slipping against the cold metal. A faint tap, tap, tapping sound made her freeze. She turned slowly, her eyes scanning the bare room. Her breath caught as she saw a black butterfly tapping against the apartment window. It fluttered for a moment, then settled, its wings trembling. "Lily?" Carina called again. The air felt thick, oppressive, like something was pressing down on her chest. "Yes," a tiny voice said. Carina's heart skipped a beat. The sound came from the closet. She hadn't noticed it before, but now it stood out, looming in the corner of the room like a dark, gaping mouth. Trembling, she edged towards it, her hand shaking as she reached for the knob. The air shifted, and the overpowering scent of poppies filled the room, making her dizzy. She turned the handle, and the door creaked open. Inside was nothing but darkness at first, but then her eyes adjusted, and there she saw the bodies. That concludes today's episode. Join us again next week for another spine-tingling tale on Simple Dark Stories. If you enjoyed this and would like to help out, please give us 5 stars and tell us what haunts your dreams. Until next time.